Hello and welcome to PKR TV. On tonight's show, the final table of May's main event, and all eyes are on PKR veteran Sharpfeather. The German has more than 50 four-figure scores on his resume, and this would be one of his finest. Joining me in the booth is Team Pro Scott Shelley.
Well, approaching the end of day 2 of our only 2-day tournament. These guys started some 15 hours of play, split over 2 days. And this is the business end. $4.5 grand for the winner.
Fold.
Just $35 to enter. And one man I immediately recognise is veteran tournament player Sharpfeather. I have an entire A4 page devoted to his tournament results. The best one, third in the Masters in 2010.
You have had a chance to play this tournament now.
Yep.
Cashed, 1 for 1.
Hey.
Then man ace king into aces on day 2. That was fun.
And straight off, here we go. 124k in the pot.
Pretty good flop for Dan Shreddies. But he's not safe yet.
Yeah, not safe yet.
Both flopped absolute monsters here.
Yeah, Dan Shreddy's 1 million chips.
I bet.
And this will be a nice addition to his stack. Poor old Bobby. I mean, this is such an incredible structure in this tournament. Even at the final table, the average stack is like 50, 60 big blinds.
The whole way through is ridiculous.
It's unbelievable. Can he get there? No, he doesn't. And we say goodbye immediately, and rather unfortunately, to Bobby B53. Well, he gets just $248, which is a real disappointment when you get to a final table like this. But what can you do? He flopped a set, and he's up against basically the only hand that can beat him.
It was the only hand. Oh, sorry.
Top set.
Top set.
Yeah,
I apologise.
Thanks, mate. But there we go. A 90th final table. No third win for Bobby. Yeah, there we go. I tell you what, we've got some other people here. Zweiback, he came 4th in the Masters in 2009.
Yeah, I recognise that
And
name.
Okay, I'll call.
A couple of decent other results too. Sunday High Roller and Prime Time final tables. Now it's a cooler for Taxi Kev.
Later.
Taxi Kev, of course, another Masters finalist in 2011, 4th place. We are just...
looks like we're going to lose him now.
It does. And a bit of a tank here for Nice to Beat You. But it's only 150k more.
Yeah, you got to imagine he's making the call.
He does make the call.
Turns a flush draw to go with it.
He's in amazing shape. And it holds. And that's the end of Taxi Kev. So 2 Brits out of the 4 that began this final table are out. That's 311 for Taxi Kev. And, yeah, sad to see the end of him.
I fold.
Poker plate 753.
Fold.
Gets out of the way. And Dan Shreddy's named the most improved player by We Play Any Two. Certainly over the last 6 months, he's one of a number of players who've stepped up the game.
We Play Any Two should be changed to We Play Kings or Better.
Right.
There you go.
Bajan gets it in. He's got to win this. Oh, no, he's got his opponent all in. This is for a big stack, actually. This will get one of these guys right up, and it's Sharpfeather that holds, and that could be crucial. That was basically both of these guys all in. Bajan's got, well, no hope, really. Less than a small blind. He's got Prime Time and Gold Rush wins to his name, but I very much doubt he's going to be adding to that today.
I fold.
Poker play. Tons of chips, relative to the blinds at least anyway. And he makes it 62.5.
Fold.
Dan Shreddy's snap folds King Queen.
Fold.
Bajan just figures, well, the ante's going to eat away at that poxy small blind as well.
Yeah, you want to get in as soon as possible.
Get it in. And, well, 11% goes down to 0%, and that is the end of the Swede. And in short order, we're down to 7. That is Bajan out in 8th place for 414. Next place gets 5, 6, 9. And, well, Dan Shreddy's got the most final tables of any of these remaining, 252 final tables. And here he is. Well, she is.
Raise.
Fold.
Opens to just a smidge above 2x. Horny 2904. Open champ, Monte Carlo champ, can play. Gets out of the way.
Deception here, the flat call.
Yeah, indeed. Delanucci.
I mean, I'm not sure the stack sizes, but
All right. Wouldn't do that at this late stage normally, but we'll see how he... I mean, it's, you know, mixing up's fine. It's how you continue in the hand that
must
matters.
be nice, Dan Shreddies. Just gets the guy to just jam.
Wow.
Oh, he was short as well. He should have definitely banged that in pre-Ace King.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
I mean, it might have been that Dan Shreddies had to call,
Yeah.
so it works out the same way anyway, but
Yeah.
should definitely be looking to get it in there with 10 bigs, 10, 15 bigs.
Yeah, that's right. But it's XX Zweiback who departs in 7th place, 5.69 for the German. He's got some great results on his PKR resume, but
Here's a shove in hand.
it's not one of them. Delanucci played the Ace King. We now realise very passively,
Yeah.
and it saved him actually. But now he gets it in.
All in.
11 or 12 bigs.
I'm all
There
in.
you go. Fold.
As I said, what a life to Dan Shreddies.
Oh, wow.
I'll repeat that until I see the ace on the flop.
Well, how short is poker play? Very short, I think, is the answer.
Doesn't matter because of the king on the river.
Oh, yeah. Well, must be nice in many ways.
Yeah.
And
Just has half the chips in play.
yeah, so he busts Delanucci and poker play and now has a ridiculous chip lead.
Half the
Surely
chips,
must go on to
400.
win. Delanucci picks up 766. Poker play, the last of those who doesn't get four figures, 994. Four remaining, two Germans, a Swede, and a Brit with all the chips and the momentum and the luck. Everything, really. But it's Sharpfeather with the results to back him up, who makes the call. Dan Shreddies, well, when you've got that big a chip lead, just open every hand.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't blame him for opening the 5-10. It's unfortunately it wasn't free bet here because now he's going to lose a bit more chips.
Yeah, that's right. And how snug will Sharpfeather play it? That is the question.
I think I'll raise.
Well, he's banking on his
Yeah,
opponent
I think-
having a hand or making a play.
Yeah, I
at
think
him.
with the board like this, a raise is probably the best option here.
Okay.
I mean, it's...
Well, Dan could. It's not beyond the realms of possibility that Dan could do something here other than fold. Wow, and he does it. And Sharpfeather has actually now Sharpfeather can. Do you think Sharpfeather can call? Yeah, he does.
Love it.
Oh wow, beautiful call, beautiful turn.
Yeah.
And Dan now has to feel that he needs to fire another barrel. Wow. Well, Dan Shreddies, he had 3 million.
Put him
There
in.
you go.
He's moved him in. Snap calls.
Well, the river's a 5 anyway, so it
Hills
goes in.
up. Yeah, and Dan busts off 1 million chips and is now not the prohibitive chip leader.
Not at all.
Well, I mean, out of the other three, you don't want to be doing that to Sharpfeather. He's
No,
he's
but-
the one guy, really, who...
Fold.
but, you know, I guess...
It was kind of unfortunate for Dan Shreddies because I think most of the time players will free bet the 9s there with stack size like that four-handed.
Okay.
Which
But
Dan
don't you
should-
think like a decent queen, like a jack queen or a king queen can also be in your opponent's range? You know, you get raised on the flop and Dan
but
could
I
have
think-
passed, but he
I think-
decided to 4-bet.
I think with a decent queen, they flat call the flop more than raise. I think they're raising with like really, really strong hands or draws.
Yeah.
And it just happened he had the really strong hand.
Well, for Dan, it had to be a draw he was up against for the way he played it, and it was not, sadly. Boom. Horny gets there in ridiculous fashion, but... Well, he had the flush draw as well, mind. Although you're not absolutely... you're not overjoyed by the flush draw.
You're not really going for the... Oh, wow.
Wow, and nice to beat you. Puts in a huge bet, and surely that's not value betting. Maybe he thinks that his opponent's... He thinks his opponent's on the flush draw.
Yeah,
Now,
he might think his hand's good.
good God. Well, now he checks, and his opponent's... Well, they've got around the same stack, and this is a big pot. It's got big very quickly, and these guys, considering there's quite a lot of play at this table, are bloating the pots substantially.
I fold.
Yeah, he gets out of the way. Well, we've seen 2 hands in a row there where, you know, perhaps players could have taken just a slightly more chilled line or smaller bets, but, you know, I'm not going to complain about the action being fast and furious.
Yeah, it gives us something to talk about.
Indeed it does, and Sharpfeather
fold.
Well, he was rather gifted the
raise.
double up. You can see he's lost some chips. He was up to 2 mil. But it's an enticing min raise here with the ace-king of clubs.
I raise.
And it may well induce the sevens, and it does. Nice to beat you. No four-figure scores on his resume, so this will be the first. And it could be a nice one too if this works out. Sharp feather, the choice of calling or raising. Most of the time you would recommend raising, I presume.
Yep, 100%.
It's a small raise though.
I mean,
Happy with the raise size?
no, I would have just shoved. I think there it looks stronger and it's going to be an ugly hand now.
Yeah, weird. Nice to beat you. Decides to flat, leaving himself 4-5-7 behind.
I reckon I wouldn't have been surprised they just led out for all in.
Yeah, well, he's decided not to. He called rather hoping for a low flop or a 7, which is weird considering the stack sizes.
Yeah, exactly.
But Sharp Feather now has the green light to just go and put his opponent in. He virtually does that. Kind of irrelevant that he's made it 3-15.
All in.
Wow, his opponent assumes he's ahead, makes a...
This is a river.
Well, that could have played out a number of ways that were not that one. Very strange there. Min raise from the ace-king. Virtually min re-raise from the sevens, off not the biggest stack in the world. Ace-king then 4 bets.
Yeah, you should. Then with the sevens, you should either be going with it or folding there.
But then calls and then check calls, just gives away any fold equity.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was a bit weird.
It was very weird, I would suggest. But there we go. Sharp Feather could well have won that pot. But there we go. He takes a big hit to his stack here. And again, and we're back to anyone's game, really.
Fold.
Sharp Feather, massive with the queens, and he's now the short stack. Great spot for him, but how do you make sure you don't lose your customer here? German against German. Sharp Feather makes it quite a small re-raise. Gets an instant call from the King 7. Interesting, very loose defend there. But the King 7 picks up a flush draw.
Yeah, they got a much bigger percentage than they should have when Queen's flop top set.
Yeah, and if Sharp Feather loses this, he'll feel a little aggrieved. He's got an the overcard. He's going to think he's got an overcard, of course.
Okay, let's do it.
Sharp Feather leads really small.
Let's have the turn.
Gets the shove and has got
Turn
to
more outs.
dodge an 8 or a club. He does do that, and there perhaps an example of the damage you can do to your stack with what seems like quite a small defend pre-flop. But you know, post-flop you've got to get it in there with the King 7, right? You know, you've got a flush draw and an over, and your opponent's led out quite small. It's the green light to shove it in. You don't like it too much?
Not really, because your flush draw might not be. You could be drawing semi-dead. Like if you're up against Queen 10 with a 10 of clubs, you're drawing semi-dead to a king.
Well, a couple of hands there with a couple of strange lines. You open to 120 with the King 7 and then call another 150.
Yeah, I don't.
You should have just got away there, perhaps.
Yeah,
it's easy
really
to say in
bad.
hindsight.
Here's the flop.
Here we go. Ace Jack opens. Nice to beat you. Looking to get some chips going now.
It's not looking likely though.
No, it's not looking like
Especially Horny's got the ace of hearts in their hand.
Nice to beat you. He bets a big bet that he's going to hope works. He's got 360 behind. Is he committed, does he think, somehow into calling this? He's got 360 behind. He's getting about 3-1 on his money. 2 to 3-1. But, you know, he's bet almost half his stack there. He makes the call.
Oh, he's turned a few more outs.
Let's
Bink.
see the river.
Wow, and he binks that and another weirdly played hand.
Yeah. Dan Shreddies finds himself sitting atop again.
Back in the chip lead, but I mean, well, Sharp Feather's played pretty well and finds himself at the bottom of the chip counts.
Yeah, they've been really unfortunate in a few hands. Dan with big pair. Well, big pair relative to 4 hands.
Yeah.
Raise.
And Sharp Feather. An interesting... He's got a slightly awkward stack here.
Not too awkward. I mean, he's got 19 bigs. Yeah, I'm not shocked at that.
Okay.
He's ran to a decent hand behind him.
Snap cold call behind with the ace-queen.
Yeah, I think Schwartz has to get away. He's going to be happy because he's going to be up against 4 overs anyway.
Wow.
One flops.
Absolutely flops it. He's got to dodge a few outs here, but he does, and that's key. Sharp Feather wins a pot to get him back into it. He busts Horny, who, to be fair to him, snap called knowing his ace-king was pretty far ahead.
Ace-queen.
Ace-queen, yeah. So fair play to him, and he gets lucky. He gets unlucky. So Horny, you can put him down there as having played nicely and not got his reward.
Well, he's not all out yet, but he's got 1 big.
Oh, my bad.
If that he's found the aces.
Oh, dear.
All in.
He's thinking, is there a way for me to raise less than all in here?
Yeah, and he's got to go multi-way.
Here comes
Oh, dear.
Oh, dear, oh, dear, oh, dear. Might be big more oh dear for nice to beat you, though.
Bet.
On this board, he's going to think his hand's good.
Let's
Okay, I'll
have
call.
the turn card.
Check.
Be interested to see if they get 3 streets of value here. Can't see him folding at 8 here for that bet.
No, it's pretty small.
Oh.
He's getting 3.5 to 1.
Yeah, I think they're going to get 3 streets.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if he gets away here when Dan goes... Inevitably, Dan's got to have a hand here when he bets what we know is going to be, at least half pot.
Yeah, I like that bet.
He goes for half pot. And in the context, it's quite a big bet, really.
It is.
The fact that it's on the river and it's...
I think any more would have been too big.
Right.
He's folded in the end, so it's...
He passed, and it's a nice pass. He figures he can't be ahead with just the 8 there.
And we're going to go free-handed with shreddies with half the chips.
Yeah, that's right. And Dan, after dusting off half his stack, having got the chip lead earlier on, is now back there. And he certainly had 3 or 4 hands which were, big hands that held up.
Yeah.
But it's still not over. There's still work to do.
I'm going to fold.
And we know he's going to be the most active
Here
player.
comes the flop.
From what we've seen already, he flops an over and the second nut flush draw. Sharp Feather, absolutely massive here. And we've seen it again. It's these two. Dan bluffed, half his stack off to Sharp Feather when Sharp Feather flopped middle set. How's this going to go? Sharp Feather was actually in position last time.
I think they're going to get it on the flop this time.
Yeah, it's a little further on in the tournament now.
I think I'll raise.
He makes the raise. Wow, and Dan just calls. He decides after last time when he got burnt, he doesn't want to dust it all off right here. Well, this is huge. Sharp Feather's got a pot-sized bet behind. He's got the virtual nuts. And is he going to price out Dan? That's the question. Yes, he does. That's it. That's hand over, right?
Yeah, well, it has to be.
Some other players might well find a way to make that call.
Nah,
But
Dan's never calling.
Dan knows his maths, and there we go. Sharp Feather decides he just wants to win the pot there and then.
Yeah.
There was an opportunity there to bet, to give almost the right price.
Yeah.
If you're greedy and want to take... Because Dan, the opportunity to cripple Dan's stack there on the turn is one that, you might take because he's the most dangerous of your 2 opponents.
Yeah.
But Sharp Feather decides just not to take that risk. And here goes the German on the button. He's got the chip lead. He passes.
Fold.
And nice to beat you, who you may well, in the odds, if you're pricing this up, price him as the dog right now. Oh, well, what a pretty matchup. And an irrelevant matchup. I almost feel like raking this pot just for wasting my
This
time.
is a river.
But we don't. And Nice to Beat You. Well, he's got 10 bigs, which is not the hardest stack to play at this point, but you feel like he's not going to be given any walks by these two.
Nah.
And they certainly are, I would say, two of the three maybe most experienced and most accomplished player out of the final 10.
Oh yeah, I'd agree. I mean, I'm only a few of them are notable to me, but I'd
Yeah.
definitely say that Dan Shreddies and Sharp Feather were the two most talented players.
Yeah, you'd expect them to be here at the end, and they are. And it sure is going to be an interesting heads-up battle if they can just knock off Nice to Beat You.
Yeah.
Who gets it in, he
All in.
understands the desperate need to get it in.
Yeah, I think both plays are standard here.
He's live, and he could do with one of Dan's 8s.
Yeah, he's got 8s, 9s, 7s. Think.
Think,
I
there we
called
go.
it.
There we go. And Dan could have knocked him off and been heads up with not too bad a deficit against Sharp Feather, but no. Now there's a way back for Nice to Beat You. And he's got 18 bigs, which is a slightly trickier stack to play, but is that still three-handed open shove mode?
Not always.
Okay.
But it's pretty straightforward to play. Not as straightforward as 10 bigs is, where it's just shove or fold.
Respect to the avatar. Ridiculous
yeah.
avatar.
Oh, he's unlucky here.
All in.
Yeah.
Shreddies got his number.
Yeah, Shreddies has had the bigger pair a number of times here. Oh, boy.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Unbelievable, and this is huge. Shreddies takes a beat this time.
Yeah,
Shreddies got
unlucky.
shredded. And now, I mean, he's still got a stack for sure. He's got the 18 bigs this time, but Nice to Beat You. Wow, back to back, and he is right in the mix.
New hand.
Sharp Feather, been here before. Amazing experience over the last couple of years he's got under his belt on PKR. Can he close this out now? He's got the biggest chip lead anyone's had so far.
Fold.
And he opens it
Shreddies
up.
is shipping.
Shreddies. He's got 900. Oh, sorry, he's only got 700. So, yeah, he's had a few blinds and antes taken from his stack. Is this close? This is a chance to knock him off?
I don't think it's a call, personally,
It's
but
550. You can afford it. It's not the worst price in the world.
no, it's not.
I mean, he obviously wants to
Yeah.
make the call. He makes the call. This is for a huge chip lead to
Oh,
go
wow,
heads
he's
up.
flopped him semi-dead.
Boom, that's it. Only a king or a jack offsuit would do it.
Unlucky, Dan.
Yeah, Dan Shreddies, he was one-time chip leader. Played nice, perhaps the misstep with the triple barrel bluff against Sharp Feather.
Yeah,
maybe not,
I mean,
maybe not. I mean, maybe I'm being a little harsh there, but
No, I don't think it was. I mean, it wasn't that bad.
okay.
No, it was unneeded, but I can see where his thought process is going with
Yep.
it.
All right, well, Dan picks up 1,760 for third place.
Oh, this is going to be all in, surely? Well,
Yeah, and
not
not-
just all in, but
Well,
eventually get it in pre-flop.
Well, this could be the end. Nice to beat you.
Raise.
You know, he's stayed out of the way, but he's got hands at the right times.
Make it 1 million straight. 1 million.
Give him the Jerry. Now he's thinking about bet size.
I'm raising.
I think I might watch that later, the Jerry Yang final table
Yeah,
for jokes.
just for jokes.
4.2 million. 6.7 million. That's it every time.
What
Just
a
literally-
legend. What a ledge.
Burn turn, bet some millions.
Okay, well, Nice to beat you calls. Well, actually, they have got some chips behind. He calls hoping not to see overs. That's one great big over.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of
The
flat.
thing is,
I
you
mean,
don't know if you're behind. You could be giving the best hand away here.
I'm not a fan of either way they've played it, to be honest with you. I mean, shoving there is it's a bit silly in my opinion, just because your head's up, you've got pretty much the nuts on that flop, and there's a ton of chips in the middle. Why do you want to not just give your opponent a little chance to
New hand.
commit themselves?
Okay.
Like, yes, there's two clubs out there, but your head's up, and you've got like top theoretically.
Well, German against Swede. Nice to beat you. Opens, which
All in,
we're glad
yeah.
to see. Sharp Feather puts the pressure on. Figures he's got the best hand the
Don't
majority of
call.
the time. No, he's got 720 left. Well, he's leaning on him now. I mean, he had the best hand there.
Yeah.
But this is going to be difficult to Nice to beat you should he not pick up hands in the right places. And that's what we've seen, really, is that out of the two, Sharp Feather is the one. I know he's got the chips, but he certainly seems like if neither of them pick
Should
up
open
hands...
shove this. Players playing 10 bigs. Shove it. Shove it, shove it, shove it, shove it, shove it. There you
Sharp
go.
feather shoves.
And a call.
He runs into a better hand, and this is a way back for Nice to beat you. He's picked up the hand, but he's been outdrawn.
Wow.
He's been outdrawn. And,
3 outs.
He has, no
That's
jack.
it.
And after 16 hours, it is a main event title for the German Sharp Feather. What a fine win.
Well, no surprise, Sharp Feather takes down another title. That's his 21st win on PKR. Incredible stuff from the German. He's been around forever. That's only his that's his 6th or 7th best result in terms of money won, though. He ran good in a couple of places, but really the key hand was where he picked up 9s fairly early on in the final table. And one Dan Shreddies perhaps went a step too far. You said that you didn't mind the play at all, but that was kind of like a total gift to Sharp Feather, in my opinion. And that kind of totally turned the tables, and only one player was going to go on and win it from them, and Dan Shreddies was struggling from that point.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit misfortunate for Dan Shreddies. He's opened a 10-5, he's got a bunch of chips now, he's looking to literally try and run over the table.
Yeah.
So I don't blame him for opening them sort of hands, like literally junk hands. He's flopped a 5 on Jackman 5, which isn't obviously the best flop for his hand, but he could be ahead of the range of the calling range.
Yeah, and respect to Dan, at least he emptied the clip, as they call it.
Yeah, he didn't back down, he went for it, and it was just bad timing, really. Ran into pretty much the nuts.
Okay, well, and he did actually, forgive me, but he actually did go on and get some chips back at that point, so he wasn't dead and buried. But 3rd place for him, Nice to Bow, 2nd place, but Sharp Feather, yet another title. Amazing work from him. From me and Scott, that's all for now. See you next time.